Good morning. It's Sunday morning, June 26th, and I'm Vimala. We're having a beautiful summer day today. It's cooler outside, but we've had some rain, which was most welcome, I think. We had quite a bit of rain. So hopefully everything is good in your part of the world, that you feel safe. And I hope everyone's dealing with the political scene and the recent court decisions, really trying to breathe through it and remember that we can deal with everything without being angry, without using anger to express ourselves. It's time for us to all breathe more, lean into our own practice, and see what we want to take on in this world and how much energy we want to give it. And I think it's especially important for us to ask, can we take on the important issues in our world, in our life, and do it without anger? Do it from a place of compassion. And that's compassion for the rest of the world, and also compassion for ourselves. So I wanted to start, when we meditate, I want it to be on self-compassion today, but just with some very gentle thoughts that I want to share with you. So, and I've read this before, so I want to read it again because I think it's really a good way to start looking at things that bother us and that we get upset about. Self-compassion can help free us from our stress, our pain, and all manner of discomfort. And this is something I've read from Sylvia Boorstein. The practice of seeing clearly is what finally moves us towards kindness. Seeing again and again the infinite variety of traps we create for seducing the mind into struggle. Seeing the endless rounds of meaningless suffering over lust and aversions, which, though seemingly urgent, are essentially empty. We feel compassion for ourselves. So I'd like to read this reflection first, and then we'll just sit with it. We want to look at what brings us a sense of calm, of warmth, and comfort. So, what brings you that sense of ease and comfort and warmth? In meditation, notice a difficult emotion. This is what we're going to be practicing, but I want to read it first. So if you're politically, maybe your difficult emotion is the latest Supreme Court ruling. Maybe it's something else. Maybe you're working with a difficult emotion, some kind of pain or sadness or anger, frustration. But just pick one of those and notice it when we're sitting with the meditation. This could be a painful pattern of anxiety, attachment, aversion, or just irritation, or irritation at being distracted, even in your meditation. If there isn't a difficult emotion available, just create one for the practice. And anger, the instructions are, anger is often pretty accessible. Remembering someone or something that's made you feel angry, or that's, something that you've been complaining about, something that, that you can't let go of. Try, first of all, to be aware of the suffering you are feeling, that you personally are feeling from this difficult emotion. Be aware of that suffering. Can you feel it in your body? Become familiar with your own suffering. Now go deeper. Shift from the surface thoughts and reactivities into the recognition that you want to be free from this. Recognize this wish to be free is self-compassion. Shift your attention from preoccupation with the problem to awareness of self-compassion. And you can just have a phrase that you say to yourself. May I be free of this suffering and its causes. Or the suffering is caused. The suffering is, I'm going to change this phrase. The suffering is caused from what we do mentally with the issue, or what we do mentally with our strong emotions. But we can certainly be asked that we be free of the suffering and the conditions that led to the suffering. So those conditions are the way we process something. The suffering is always comes from us. How does this shift affect your own experience? Try having a warm, accepting quality to whatever is arising in your experience, whether it is good or bad, comfortable or uncomfortable, positive or negative. So no matter what the experience that you're having difficult emotions with, try to have a warm, accepting quality to this arising within you. That's not easy, right? Can you describe your own experience of self-compassion? Is it beneficial? Is it healing? Is it liberating? And how do you engage with uncomfortable feelings as they arise in meditation? And think about how is self-compassion more beneficial than self-pity? So let's try to shift away from this strong emotion we may have created, or that we've created in our minds, and just become more aware again. Come back to your own suffering. Shift your attention from preoccupation with the problem to awareness of self-compassion. May I be free of this suffering and the conditions for this suffering. So it doesn't mean at all that we want to walk away from the issue or the problem, but we want to begin to deal with it differently rather than letting it become suffering within us, which leads to all the wrong directions. But we want to have compassion for ourselves and let go of these strong emotions that we have created suffering from, and work with those issues that have been there as conditions, and work with them in a different way, not in a way that creates suffering for ourselves. So that can be letting go of anger, letting go of frustration, those emotions that are really bothering you, that you're suffering, and you're doing that with your mind. The suffering is within us. So we have a lot to do. We have a lot we can look at in terms of things that we may want to do to educate ourselves and think and come up with positive ways we can help the situation, and a way we can deal with all what we're going to see in probably what we're going to see in the world for a while is a lot of this anger and confusion and being upset and things that can really trigger us. And so we need to have that self-compassion to start working with the suffering that we've created, that we've gotten tangled up. There's something different between what happens outside of us and how we deal with it. And our practice, this is our practice. That's the reason that we have come to and stayed with meditation, because it helps us, and it helps us work with suffering that we've created in our lives out of the situations of being alive. So why don't we sit, and then if you're around here, enjoy a beautiful day, or if it's a different time of day, or you're somewhere where you're having the rain today, and you might be staying inside, but you can also enjoy your time, and maybe some of the pain can be helped by self-compassion. So why don't we sit? Just allow yourself to be relaxed. And remember, if you want to do this meditation, you can do it by noticing in your body a difficult emotion, whatever it is, whatever rises up for you. Something that you might be struggling with right now, or that you often do. So anxiety may be that uncomfortable, difficult emotion. So try to have an awareness, bring up an awareness of this difficult emotion that you're going to work with. Probably just thinking about it you'll feel it rise up. Usually I feel it in my stomach. That's where I begin to feel it rising. And just be familiar with this way of suffering. Your breathing's going to change. You may feel pressure on your chest, whatever you'll notice what your normal go-to for suffering, physical suffering, strong emotional suffering. Just notice any difficult emotion and see if you can stay with it and see how you experience this. Be sure you keep breathing. So just become familiar with this feeling in your physical body. Now go deeper. Shift from your surface thoughts or those gut thoughts and reactivities into the recognition that you want to be free from this. Whatever you've triggered in your body, you do want to be free from this. Recognize that. The suffering that's attached to this emotion is something you want to be free from. And what you're feeling is this desire to be free from this suffering is self-compassion. Before we can have compassion for others, we have to be able to experience it and have it for ourselves. Compassion is wanting that freedom from suffering for others. And self-compassion is just like metta practice. Self-compassion is wanting the freedom from suffering for ourselves. So you can use the phrase, "May I be free of this suffering and the conditions connected with this suffering." May I be free of this suffering and the conditions around this suffering. Now can you feel your experience changing at all? Notice that. Can you feel any of the suffering lifted? May I be free of this suffering and the conditions allowing it to arise. And those conditions are within us. Their conditions are in our minds. How we're interpreting situations to cause us this pain, emotional suffering. Try having a warm, accepting quality to whatever is arising in your experience. A warm, accepting quality. Let it arise, but change the way you perceive it. Take it on with warmth and acceptance. Whether it's good or bad, comfortable or uncomfortable, positive or negative. Accept it. It's present for you. Let your self-compassion allow you to accept it, allow you to see that this is going on for you. Then you can let it go. So just be with a warm, accepting quality for a few minutes. We want to be peacemakers. We want to be refuge for ourselves, for others. We want to be harmless. So we may need to sit, let those difficult emotions and that suffering we feel, sometimes we have to sit with it. Just let it sit next to you. Put your arm around it and accept that it's there. Only then can we let it just rise and then pass away. It may take a while, but it will pass away. Dukkha, or suffering, is one of the three experiences. And anicca, or impermanence, is one of the others. So everything that arises will pass away. Things come and things go. Nothing is permanent. So let's send merit. May everything we do today and think and say be done not only for our own benefit, but for the benefit of all beings, all living beings, human and non-human. May we be peace. May we be kind. May we be true. May we be a refuge. So, have a beautiful day, and allow yourself, anytime you need to, is just to remember to feel self-compassion. And no matter how hard or strong or difficult the emotions are you may be feeling, we need to deal with those first before we go charging out into the world. We need to be very careful about how we work with a difficult situation, and that takes work on ourselves first of all. So doesn't mean we can't change things. It just means we need to change them with love and not anger, not hate, and without fear. So thank you. Whatever you're working with in your life.